Another big day for different reasons. And I think it's important to know how to shoot a gun. I really do. What about showing love to our neighbor? The most common gun in the jungle. Nate also wondered how safe it would keep him, since he knew he could never shoot to kill anyone, even an Aka warrior.
I'll be honest, this morning out doing chores, I got to struggling really bad and was...
Truth moment. I'm crabby. Well, good morning, my friend. Today we start school after the Christmas and the New Year's break. So that adds in a whole new dynamic to life and really just fills up the day, which means that much less time for projects and for all the extra stuff. It's also 30 degrees out, so the goat has to go. Today is also a big day because we are starting today to extend the hours in our fast. So we went 1 week where we didn't eat any snacks and didn't eat anything after 6 o'clock. Now this week, the second week, we are going to not eat any snacks and not eat anything after 6 o'clock and extend the time to breakfast until 10 o'clock. So that is a much longer time. So it's about 3 hours difference of when we were eating breakfast on a regular basis. So I'm hoping that even though we're adding in school today, that I can still get my shelves hung up. I'm going to have to do more coats of polyurethane, but the kitchen is just in chaos. So if I could get them hung up, then it would just be that much less on the counters. We can put back, the way we wash our dishes and all that, and that'll help. So I'm hoping I can get those hung today, despite everything. And when I go in from milking the goats, I will make breakfast, and then by the time we do a little bit of school, we'll take a break and eat some breakfast. Bill is really, really struggling because he is a really big eater. He eats a lot of food, and so he definitely is feeling it. So you can definitely say a prayer for him and me. I mean, I would love your prayers. I covet your prayers. I cherish your prayers. And I have been praying for those of you who have asked for prayer in the comments. And I just am so thankful that we can be united through the airwaves and just be one and pray for each other. Who is our neighbor? Well, Jesus then talks about, the story, not in this chapter, but previously, about the Good Samaritan and how his neighbor was a Jew, and Samaritans and Jews did not like each other. And so his neighbor was a man that he wasn't even supposed to associate with, and who was lying on the side of the road who he'd never met before. And I just pray that none of us forget that our neighbor is anyone that's around us, and that we must show the love of God, whatever that looks like in that moment. We have to show the love of God to anyone around us, despite what's going on. And that's a hard one to really work through because, I am not someone that grew up in Montana, but I grew up with, and I didn't shoot guns. My family that wasn't their thing. And so here I am now learning how to shoot a handgun, and I think it's important to know how to shoot a gun. I really do. And to be able to protect ourselves in dangerous situations. I'm not against that at all, but there is that part of me that's like, but what about that? What about showing love to our neighbor? And honestly, I don't have the answer to that. I don't know what that should look like or can look like, because I'm for self-defense all the way. If bad people knew that good people carried guns and would defend themselves, there might be a lot less bad people doing bad things. I don't know, maybe not, but because there'll always be bad people doing whatever. But that's just one of those questions, thoughts that I am wrestling through and trying to figure out myself. I just know that in everything we've got to show the love of Christ. What do you have to say, Faith? And then in the end of Mark chapter 12, he goes on to talk about the widow who gives the 2 mites, who gives everything she owns. That all the other guys were giving huge amounts of money, huge amounts, because of how much they make. And they were flaunting it. And they had the money to give. But giving what they gave didn't affect them one bit. But this woman gave everything she owned. Yes, you're the star of the show, Faith. But she gave everything she owned and trusted God. That's just an amazing story, an amazing thing to think about. Would I give my last penny, my literal last penny, to Jesus, knowing he would take care of me? That's something to think about, isn't it? Entiendo un poco. I'm making some breakfast cookies. They're so good. But the kids are working on their Spanish, so they're working on a little bit of school while I get this done, and then we'll start the official book work. Here we go.
Entiendo un poco de español.
This recipe calls for dates. I know like dates are not like keto, but we're not doing keto, I guess. And dates grow in Israel, and so I'm sure that means that they're wonderful, right? And in the Bible it talks about how they had dates. They had, what was it that Abigail gave to David? Wasn't it something like date cakes or something like that? So I'm sure that means that dates are wonderful for us, right? Dates are so good. So I know they say don't have dates because they don't, I don't know what, they're too something, but I don't agree with that. I enjoy them. They're wonderful natural sweetness, and God made them. So we eat them. Soon they were eating a hearty stew made of maize, potatoes, and beans that Tupac's mother had cooked over a fire in the corner of the hut. A lot of Quechua are poor, Tupac said, but we have some sheep, a few llamas, and a bit of land. Some people don't have any land, so they go down to the cities. When he was a little boy, Romulo looked after his family's sheep. After he had started to follow Jesus, his favorite Bible verses were about Jesus, the Good Shepherd. Romulo became a Christian leader and spent his life helping his...
Mommy, can I help?
Yes. What do you have?
An airplane.
And why an airplane?
Because it's math, Cameron Townsend.
No, we're studying
Nate Saint, I mean.
That's right. We're reading his book, aren't we?
Yeah. I really like this airplane.
Very cool.
Okay. Arihuno was an abandoned shell oil exploration base near the large Kikwa Indian village. Like all shell oil bases, including Shalmera, Arihuno had a wonderful packed sand airstrip.
When he was alone at Arihuno, Nate worked with a small revolver tucked in his belt. At first it gave him a sense of safety, but then he began to wonder whether the Aucas would even recognize a small revolver as a firearm. It didn't look at all like a rifle, the most common gun in the jungle. Nate also wondered how safe it would keep him, since he knew he could never shoot to kill anyone, even an Auca warrior. The most he would allow himself to consider was shooting a would-be attacker in the leg, and then only as a last resort.
Well, right now I'm putting all my tools away, finishing up here. Put a starter in the pickup. Been fighting it not starting, and so I say I just put another starter in it, and I tried her out here. First where the starter is, right there's that fancy noodle thing right there, an $80 part. But anyway, I started it, and it started, so hopefully we got the problem solved. So today is day one of cutting down to basically 2 meals a day in our fasting. To be honest, this morning out doing chores, I got to struggling really bad and was getting a bit dizzy and lightheaded. I was hungry last night when I went to bed, so I did run in and eat a couple boiled eggs. Just, I don't know, maybe I just got weak, but I got 3 guys I do a bi-monthly podcast with. I call them my band of brothers. We pray for each other and really lift each other up and encourage each other in the Lord. So I sent a text to the group and asked them to pray for me, explained to them that we were fasting and that really my flesh was getting to me, and I'm starting to find out what's in my flesh is causing me to be angry, bitter, and resentful for many reasons, and I needed prayer for it, and that just I don't do well with not eating. And so with that said, it was interesting. 2 of them responded, said they'd pray for me, and they were both actually fasting or intermittently fasting also. So it's good to have that support group to lift each other up. So by God's grace, we'll accomplish this, and we'll keep you updated on what we got going.
Child labor is happening right now. While I'm working on my shelves, the kids are making some meatloaf. Pretty good. Good help. Also, this is an update of just this first day of fasting with a longer time period. So we ate a really good meal at, it was about almost 10:30 by the time I actually got it done and cooked. And it was very filling and very yummy. And then it was like, well, do we eat lunch at 2? Because then we won't be hungry until really late. And I don't like to eat, I don't know, 5 or 6 is kind of dinner time. 6:30 is really pushing it. We start getting the kids ready for bed at 7. So I didn't want to like eat at 2 or 1 or 2 and then eat really late. So we decided not to eat lunch. And I'm getting hungry. Although I have to say, it's not like Bill's experiencing. He gets really lightheaded and really out of sorts, like dizzy, and my stomach is just like, feed me. This is dumb. You need to feed me. So I can't complain in that sense. And school went well today. I think you guys thought school went well, I think, right? Yeah, I think it went well for our first day back. And so that was good. I think there's a question.
How much is it?
1.5, 1.5 cups.
1?
Truth moment. I'm crabby. Is that normal? It's almost dinner time. The kids have been wild. And I'm grabby. So I figured, admit your faults one to another and you will be healed. Did I just make that up? I feel like that's a verse. So, I'm admitting it, taking ownership that I'm crabby. And now I'm going to make an effort to renew my mind. Take a deep breath. And find the joy of the Lord. Because really, it's been a good day. And the weather was beautiful. We went to the post office. I wore just this little shirt thing. And I didn't wear a coat, so that shows how warm it is. 30, I think. And we started on school. I got one of my boxes, the door put on. Those are really hard, by the way. If you ever get these kind of hinges, they're hard to manipulate into the right place so that it closes and opens, so there's no gaps or weird, so that's just right on. It's hard and it's kind of frustrating. I think that's why I was getting crabby. I was hungry and getting frustrated about that coming together. Okay, so I'm gonna finish the night strong. They all work perfectly. They're opening like they should, except for this one. It
it's rubbing on this side. So I gotta take it off and trim it. Man. Phew. Got that. Obviously, I've got a few touch-ups to do. I did trim this a little bit, so I gotta fix that. But they're up. Yay. They're up. That does take some getting used to, doesn't it? It's just different. And they're not as shiny because I haven't polyurethane them. I haven't finished doing that. I think it'll look much better when they're just glossy looking. And then I'll decorate them and put food and dishes on them too. The moment we've all been waiting for. Well, maybe just me. Finally, to get the containers in these. Oh, I'm so excited. So most of my containers come from Mighty Nest. Free plug for Mighty Nest. But these are collapsible. So look at this. And it gets bigger. The lids then hook on and then it collapses. Isn't that amazing? So we can fit these under here and put several of them deep. And because here's another size, they've got several sizes. So it'll fit a couple deep, like that. We've got a lot of these glass, well, I guess only a couple glass ones. There's a couple smaller ones of these collapsible. And then these here are like little snack, like instead of using a plastic bag, a little plastic, sandwich bag, you can use these for the kids for snacks. And then I also have these that are kind of like a Ziploc at the top here, and they don't tip over. So like when you're pouring something in, they don't tip over it, which is nice. And obviously you can't fill it too full, you have to be aware of that while you're doing that. But they also then stack inside of each other because there's a batch of them. But all of this just saves space, and I can fit them all inside, out of the way, out of sight, out of mind. It's great. I'm going to put them in. And then I have the other side. When I get that side put up, there'll be obviously that room. Those ones are a little bit bigger than these, so it'll fit just a bit more as well. And really though, what's over there, there's hardly anything left to even put in. So there'll be maybe room on that side to put those glasses, that the plastic glasses that the kids use that you don't really want out in the open, out for everyone to see, but they can be slipped inside there. I'll probably use like the bottom shelf for that. And so I'll probably end up, moving things around and arranging them like I want them as I go forward and stuff. But one step closer, right? One step closer. That's what I keep saying, making progress. Don't give up. It's been a good day. I hope you've had a good day. I hope those of you who have said you're joining me and joining Bill and I in this fast, I hope that you're being mightily blessed and really your seeking of God is being fruitful. I'm still praying for you. I have you written down in my phone to remind me to pray for you specifically, and so just know that you're cared for and you're loved, and we're thinking about you. So I hope you have had a great day. And so I guess that's where I'll sign off for now. Have a great day. We'll see you in the next one.